doorway. Small white scars darned his face. One of his ears had no lobe. He nodded and stepped back. The man in white, shorter now by more than normal heel height, went into the room. The Japanese followed him. The room was cool and sweet-smelling, a placid oblong, silk-walled in the hazy pale green of its tatami floor mats. At its centre, bamboo backrests with tan and white patterned cushions faced three sides of a low black oblong table, set with white plates and cups, three settings and backrests at each of the table's long sides, and one at its right end. A shallow footwell smaller than the table lay beneath it. At the room's right end, another low black table stood against the wall, two electric burners set into its surface. The wall opposite was a shoji screen of black-framed white paper. "Plenty of room for 7, the Japanese said, gesturing toward the central table. "And our best girls will be serving you. Prettiest, too." He smiled and raised his eyebrows. The man in white, pointing at the shoji screens, asked, "What's behind there?" "Another private room, senor." "Is it being used tonight?" "It hasn't been reserved, but a party might want it." "I reserve it." The man in white gestured to the blond man to open the screens. The Japanese looked at the blond man and at the man in white again. "It's a room for 6, he said uncertainly. "Sometimes 8. "Of course." The man in white strolled away toward the end of the room. "I'll pay for 8 more dinners." He bent to study the burners in the table. His fat briefcase moved against his trouser leg. The blond man was sliding the screens apart. The Japanese hurried to help him, or perhaps to prevent him from damaging the screens. The room beyond proved to be a mirror image of the first room, except that its ceiling lighting panel was dark, and the table beneath it was set for 6, 2 at each side and 1 at each end. The man in white had turned to look. The Japanese smiled across the room at him uncomfortably. "I'll only charge you if someone asks for it," he said, "and then only the difference between what we charge downstairs and what we charge up here." The man in white, looking surprised, said, "How nice. Thank you." "Excuse me, please," the black-haired man said to the Japanese. He stood just within the room, his dark suit rumpled, his round, swarthy face sheened with sweat. "Is there any way of closing this?" He pointed back toward the octagonal opening in the wall. His Portuguese was Brazil accented. "It's for the girls," the Japanese explained hopefully, "to see if you're ready for your next course." "That's all right," the man in white told the black-haired man. "You'll be outside." The black-haired man said, "I thought maybe he could," and he shrugged apologetically. "Everything is satisfactory," the man in white said to the Japanese. "My guests will arrive at 8 o'clock, and I'll show them up." "No need. One of my men will be waiting below, and after we eat, we'll have a conference here." "You can stay till 3 if you like." "No need for that either, I hope. An hour should be sufficient. And now, would you please bring me a glass of Dubonnet, red with ice and a twist of lemon peel?" "Yes, senor." The Japanese bowed. "And is it possible to have more light? I plan to read while I wait." "I'm sorry, senor. This is all there is." "I'll manage. Thank you." "Thank you, senor Ashipizu." The Japanese bowed again, bowed less deeply to the blond man, bowed hardly at all to the black-haired man, and went quickly from the room. The black-haired man closed the door, and facing it, raised his arms high, curved his fingers, and set the tips of them on the top of the doorframe, as if to play a keyboard. He moved his hands slowly apart. The man in white went and stood with his back to the wall opening, while the blond man went to the backrest at the end of the table and crouched beside it. He pressed its tan and white cushions and lifted them from the bamboo frame and put them aside. He inspected the frame, turned it over to look at its bottom, and put it aside with the cushions. He felt the tatami matting all around the end of the table. With widespread hands, he explored the plaited grass.